right, so here we are, and I don't know why we always make these things harder than they have to be, but overall, reacting to a win is a win. You actually created some space between yourself and everyone else in the SWAC tonight, or particularly in the SWAC East. So you moved to 3-1, 2-0 in the conference. It's a good look still, but honestly, at the same time, too, it's just I don't get it. I don't get it. That we made that harder than it needed to be. We made that much harder than it needed to be. But you know, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. So, as you know, don't go anywhere. Intro's next. Stay tuned. We'll be reacting. All right, so comment section. T. Man, that was frustrating. Yeah, no, it was sloppy, unfocused on this one. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is like I'm looking at the end of the game, and I'm just like, okay, well, why are you throwing it? Why did you throw a screen? Like, what was the point of running the screen at the end? Because it's like obviously like and for one, it was a bad call. Two, poorly handled by SWAC officials. Because obviously, if it's incomplete, why are you still going to continue to let it just play out like that, as if it was illegal, play? Because then it's like you're leading to altercations, like what you saw at the end, and then you're creating a possibility of injuries. I don't get it. So bad play call for one by Willie Simmons in this offense. The run play at the end, okay, that's understandable. You're running and trying to kill the clock, but I don't understand the point of everything else. And then the play at the end just to try to run it. I don't know if Willie Simmons, I don't know what the beef is. It might be between Willie Simmons and Eddie Robinson, or just what was said this week, but I don't get it. I don't know. Maybe Willie Simmons is trying to prove a point because he wanted to make it look better. I don't know. I need a drink after this one because yeah, no, honestly. And then it just something just felt very, just not even the play on the field, but something just didn't feel right, because I felt like the first quarter, maybe it was just like the poor like feed from ESPN, but it was like I felt like that game just went by entirely too fast in the first half, but then it went by too slow in the second half. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that caught that. Maybe someone else caught that too, but that first half was entirely way too fast. But no, honestly, look, Loki, I agree with you. Honestly, I'd fix myself a drink too if I could. Right now, I might make myself one after this. Definitely agree. But also too, so as far as tonight goes, as far as the box score, Musa 25 of 40. Still too many passing attempts for a game like this. 294 yards, 2 TDs, no interceptions. He took care of the ball, did his job for the most part. Honestly, can't fault him. Jaquez Yant, 7. He actually led the clubhouse, which is crazy. 59 yards rushing total, not a great rushing performance by this running back room tonight. 7 carries, 27 yards, 9 carries, 13 yards for Terrell Jennings. And then Kelvin Dean, 2 carries for 12 yards. He should have had the TD there at the end, obviously. Too similar to a game last season. Should have been a blowout. Yeah, no, I agree. This definitely should have been a blowout. This I don't want. Which game can we compare this to from last year? Honestly, because this felt like a game where this should have been a 40 piece, but it was just so sloppy in the second half by FAMU. Because even again, I think just the clock going so fast in the first half, just I don't know. That just seemed very odd to me. And then just the offense not clicking like it should have, because I felt like Musa should have had more than 2 TDs tonight, and should have had more than 200. He should have had a 300-yard night, which I think is coming in the event in the near future. Maybe next week against Mississippi Valley, which is not an easy road trip going into the Delta. But I agree with you, Ace. I agree. This was definitely a game that should have gotten out of hand in FAMU's favor. Thankfully, Isaiah Major called a game and picked off Damon Stewart, who I honestly did not expect to start, but I guess, judging from the poor play last week from the Miles game by Demetrius Davis, Eddie Robinson basically felt, Damon Stewart's going to get the keys to this offense going forward. So, they did a good job. Honestly, I feel like for the most part, I think Keyshawn Johnson is the real deal. He gave his secondary fits tonight. 8 receptions, 112 yards, no TD, so they kept him out of the end zone. But overall, he kept drives alive for Alabama State tonight. He by himself did that. And I think, honestly, hard to say, but he might end up leading this conference in receptions, or not even receptions, but just yards as a receiver. That's true too. Great teams do beat the brakes off these teams. And we're sitting here again for another night wondering, we're happy about the win, but it's like at the same time too, it's like, okay, FAMU still has not played a complete game yet against any of these, 4 teams so far? Yeah, any of these 4 teams. FAMU has not played a complete game yet. Because you played a good first half against USF. You played good against USF, but you lost. And then it's like you played a good second half against West Florida. You played a good first half tonight. So it's like, when is the complete game coming? When is it coming? Yeah, no. Sitting here saying the same thing. And we avoided an altercation there at the end of the game. So is next week you're going against an 0-3 Mississippi Valley team. Are you gonna get a complete game there? Because last time, if you remember, FAMU went to the Delta, edged that one out 2-3 back in 2021 in a game you should have dominated. So I don't know when it's going to come, but hopefully it comes soon. I don't understand why we were running plays that late. Me neither, honestly. Again, I question why we're throwing the ball with like less than a minute left, or around a minute left, and the game is in hand, because you could have easily run it a couple times and still gotten to the end zone if you wanted to really prove a point. And then, like, again, anything can happen when you pass it down there on the goal line like that, like you saw. Thankfully, that was an incomplete pass, but I mean, what if that had been an interception? All of a sudden, it's a 1-point game with a few seconds left. And college football, there's a lot of parity in college football. Anything can happen. Onside kick after you've already given up a big play. And then all of a sudden, we have a ball game again. I don't get it. I don't get it. Not to mention, you're also risking injury by doing stuff like that. So there's a lot that I think needs to still be cleaned up. There's a lot that needs to still be addressed and looked at and stuff. Musa tonight, I thought played an okay game. Should have had more, or I guess maybe that's just my expectations. Maybe it's just me that the fact that I look at so many quarterbacks in the NFL and I see them drop 300 with such ease that I think Musa should do the same every week. Yeah, no, it is. I agree. I saw it. It got fiery. It got real fiery at the end because you're seeing guys literally getting after it, fights starting and stuff, pushing and shoving and everything. I saw it on the feed, but I'm sure it was more fiery there actually being there live because like I'd heard that there were like Alabama State players talking to the crowd and everything like that. Could have had more. Yeah, no, he could have. He could have easily had a 300-yard game, I think. But you had Jaquez who not Jaquez You had Kobe Gross who dropped an easy pass. You had a couple misses. You had the one deep palm to Darian Oxendine that was broken up that I felt if he'd have threw it like maybe a few inches longer, could have been caught. But turnovers. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you had the one probably by Jaquez that shouldn't have been a turnover. I will agree with that. Penalties. Yeah. 8 penalties for 67 yards. Because honestly, if you don't have a penalty there at the end, you have 7 penalties in total, and you win this game 30-10. I thought he had some nice throws, but we got to finish some of these drives. Yeah, you do. He had some really nice throws. He had some really nice drives, but at the same time, too, your rushing attack has to come in handy in some of those situations because there's no excuse for your rushing attack to only have 59 yards rushing in a game like this. The running game should have been the dagger. That should have been the final stake through Alabama State's heart tonight. And the fact that the running game never really got going, it was working effectively early because it looked like it was going to pick up steam, but for some reason they went away from it. But definitely. The running game should be the thing that kind of like brings it home. Because when they start coming up and having to respect it and stuff, which, for some odd reason, somehow, some way, they played it pretty well. And I'm still trying to figure out, like, how did you not impose your will? I'm still trying to figure that part out. All right, can't even find the defensive stats. But all in all, yeah, Jamari Shareed actually led the clubhouse in receiving yards, 9 receptions, 72 yards. Jeremiah Pruitt, who actually had a pretty good game tonight, 4 receptions, 60 yards. Jamar Gassett, 4 receptions, 56 yards. Pretty impressive. I saw Nick Dixon, I felt like was on his way to having a good game, but then I think there was one play. It looked like he got concussed, but it looked like he was trying to get up and then like he couldn't because someone was over top of him. I hope we keep tight ends involved. They help Musa manipulate the safety. They do. Honestly, I love the play action fakes that Musa sells that so well. If y'all have noticed, like he sells those play actions and then check downs to the tight end or check downs like 10 yards downfield versus going for the money ball. Like he sells it really, really well. If y'all have noticed, and that's his bread and butter. Yeah, FAMU band won halftime, but ASU won the stands. Yeah, I will say I heard Alabama State's band for the majority of the night in the stands. They didn't ESPN Plus didn't show the halftime show, but for the majority of the night in the stands, I heard Alabama State. And that they are bigger than I thought. They are a lot bigger than I thought because I was expecting it to be probably like 50 people in their band. They had a band that pretty much rivaled FAMU's. So it was still a good time. Just glad you got the win and stuff. But yeah, I'm definitely like you. I love how Musa runs the play action pass. That's his bread and butter. and it should be utilized more because you have a running game that people have to respect. But at the same time, too, this running game needs to start to impose its will again because 59 yards ain't going to cut it. And you need to figure this out before you go to Baton Rouge and go play Southern. So you have next week against Mississippi Valley to kind of work out the kinks. But after that, you need to be on your P's and Q's against Southern because that's still a rivalry game, even though, look, I don't really think Southern's all that. That's ridiculous to me. FAMU has to get it together in the stands. They do. I think, honestly, heck, that might have been part of it, too. Just lackadaisical in the stands by them, because, the football team feeds off of that and stuff. So that could be one reason, too. I don't want to entirely rest my morals on that, but that could be one reason why. I don't think it's the RBs. I think it's the scheme. It doesn't work. Yeah, that could be it too. Because honestly, at some point, part of it does fall on the coaching and the scheme and everything such as that. Because once again, you have through three FCS and D2 games, FAMU's defense has held its opponents to only 10 points. Aside from USF, everybody's only scored 10. Jackson State's only defense held Jackson State to 10. Defense held West Florida to 10. Defense tonight held Alabama State to 10. Something's got to get going with the scheme with this offense. I don't know if that's part of, Coach Black moving on to the NFL with the Rams or what, but something's got to get going. Our guards don't pull very well. The running plays always get run down from the backside. They do. I've noticed that. I've noticed that too, because it seems like every now and again when Terrell Jennings gets ready to try to turn that corner, someone's coming up right from behind him and taking his legs out. Oh yeah, no, it definitely was. The one that Asa Gregg scored. Actually, I can pull it up here on the Gamecast. Yeah, the one that Asa Gregg scored in the third quarter that made it 10-14 at one point. Yeah, that was definitely a fluke because it tipped through three people's hands, and then he just happened to just get to it and run it in. That was definitely a fluke play, I thought. And I'm sitting here are you serious? Are you serious? But even after that, though, kudos to the defense because defense, they bent, but they didn't break. And you still have a defense that, creates turnovers, which was one key to victory tonight that we can check off. So I give credit to the defense. I do. Offense, though, for some reason, just stopped clicking. I think I'm like Marcus. I think a little bit of it is the scheme. Certain things need to be addressed. Guards need to start pulling better, getting it in gear and getting downhill quicker. I don't know what we're being hesitant about, but get downhill and get to the second level and clear the way and ensure that there's nobody coming back from the backside of the play to make a tackle. So something's got to change there. But overall, you got to take the good with the bad. I'm happy about it. It's a win. You create more space between you and the rest of the conference. You have 2 wins. Everybody else is sitting there with 1 win. We don't know. I'm not entirely sure right now. Actually, I could check. I don't know why I'm acting like I don't know. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure Jackson State's still in that dogfight with Bethune-Cookman right now. Yep, they still are. 9-14. So, I mean, you created space between you and everybody else tonight. So, overall, a win is a win. This is actually home win number 17 in Bragg as well, too. So, at this point now, what's interesting about it is FAMU for 3 straight weeks, or for 4 straight weeks, and if you include the bye, will be away from Bragg for about a month almost, up until homecoming. So, the next time FAMU comes home, it'll be homecoming against Prairie View. So now this team's going to be tested on the road against 3 teams that finished in what I believe was the top 3 in the SWAC West last year. Southern, who won it, Texas Southern, who was right there in the thick of it, and Prairie View, who I believe was like second in the West. That's the road ahead, along with a bye week, the weekend of the 14th. So at least you do get a little bit of a chance to kind of like rest up and get healthy. And it was actually a good thing that tonight you saw a quarterback such as, oh my goodness, where is it at? Damon Stewart, because you're going to see an Andrew Body in a couple weeks. We don't know what Southern's going to roll out with, although a lot of people say there's a QB controversy in Baton Rouge. Not entirely sure what Prairie View brings, so because I haven't watched anything on them yet. And then I haven't watched anything on Mississippi Valley yet either, but I will in due time. So it is a good thing that once again you saw a dual threat quarterback, which is prepping you for what's to come down the road. Even if you do get to the celebration, if and when you do get to the Celebration Bowl and you face, say, Davius Richard, you're seeing dual threats now. Good Lord's prepping you for something coming down the pipe. So be ready. But, yeah. Jeez, that's all I got. Yeah, that's all I got this evening. Yeah. So if anybody's got anything in the comment section, by all means, drop it. Because I've said everything I need to say. But while we wait, so yeah, appreciate y'all watching and everything as well too. Make sure y'all tune in Wednesday night for the Running Gun Podcast, the season finale of the Running Gun Podcast for season 6. Me and Ace will be back Wednesday night talking about this one, putting this one to bed, starting new on what's to come with FAMU and Mississippi Valley. Their offense is better off with Stu. It is. It's a lot better off, honestly. I felt like their offense was more diverse, should I say? Because what I saw tonight from their offense was more fluid and I saw more confidence from their offense and more of a rhythm than what I saw in their game against Miles. Because against Miles, they looked a little like they were kind of like tiptoeing and going through the motion still. But with Damon Stewart in there, it seemed like they were more fluid, they were more confident, they were going faster and stuff. It seemed like they had more like points of attack that they could utilize and everything like that. So I think they do have their quarterback one. And I think the bye week also, that's some other thing we need to consider too. They had a bye week before this game. They had time to rest. They had 3 games worth of film to look at, so that way they could be ready for tonight. And they utilized it. And for the most part, it showed. It showed that they had rest. It just also, too, at the same time, it showed they weren't as mentally tough as they think they were. On the bright side, we took care of business obstacle from the SWAC East standpoint. Yeah, you like I said, you created space between you and the SWAC East tonight. You definitely did. And this was a win you needed and stuff. And every week now, you just got to stack them. So you're 2-0 in the SWAC East right now. You got to go if you get to 3-0 next week against Mississippi Valley, which will not be an easy road trip. You create even more space because now 3-0 looks a lot better. And it's a lot harder for teams behind you that are trying to chase at that point. So you have created space at that point. And again, hoping, this team is still building and getting better week by week by week. But I will say one thing too, also, that the kickoff coverage has to improve. That's one aspect that has to improve. We saw a block tonight for an extra point attempt. Not too worried about that, honestly. I think they'll go back and review that and just see, what happened. Because I'm pretty sure leaping is illegal now. I'm not sure if Alabama State leaped or not, but, I'm sure they'll go back and look at it, make the little minor corrections there. But at the same time, too, nothing really to be worried about as far as field goal and extra point tries. It's more so for me the kickoff coverage and stuff, because at this point I'm almost to the point where I'm like, you know what, just kick the ball out of bounds, because it's kind of worrisome that we're inconsistent with covering kicks. Because 1 minute we tackle somebody at the 10-yard line, the next minute they're getting past the 30. So it's like something's got to get better there, or at least some type of consistency has to start to mount, because we're approaching October. One more week. We're going into our last week of September. We're slowly approaching October. That needs to be a consistent thing where guys are not crossing the 30 on kickoffs. But yeah, overall, I'm happy about it. From Swacky's standpoint, it's getting better. 3-1, 2-0 in the conference. Slowly improving. That's what you like to see. So, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's all I got for tonight, really. But yeah. So yeah, like I said earlier, make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms and everything. Make sure you guys are tuned into the Running Gun podcast on Wednesday night. Me and Ace will be doing the season finale episode where we'll take a week off because he just has to talk about what the NFC South is doing come week 5. But yes, awesome. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us this evening, folks. We hope you've enjoyed as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Hope you continue to enjoy the rest of your night. Hopefully, if you're leaving Bragg tonight, hopefully you drive home safely or back to your hotel safely. Hopefully you get home safely as well. Enjoy the NFL Sunday tomorrow and everything. If you got red zone, sit back, relax, and enjoy. And as always, as you know, stay safe, stay blessed. We will see you Wednesday night.